Hello, I'd like to thank you for your invitation to address your conference on the multipolar world and the forces shaping it. My name is Harley Schenger. I'm an international spokesman for the Schiller Institute, and I'm delighted to be able to address this topic. And my remarks today are on the subject of the coming end of the so-called rules-based order. I want to focus on the importance of the ruling issued by the International Court of Justice, which sent shockwaves through the establishment in the Western world, but actually defined the basis for the emergence of a new multipolar order that could emerge from the collapse of the existing unipolar order. The South African motion against genocide committed by Israel against the Palestinians has very far-reaching implications. And the fact that it accepted the motion from the government of South Africa in itself was important, because it is a demand for the Netanyahu regime to stop the genocide which has been unleashed and the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, of the Palestinian people. I want to take up two significant aspects of the ruling, which unfortunately has been missed by most of the coverage in the Western press. First, the court identified Israel's policies as violations of international law under the terms of the 1948 Convention on Genocide. This is absolutely mind-blowing if you think about it, because it establishes the principle of accountability, that not only Israel must be held accountable for its policies, but all the nations supporting Israel, in particular, the United States, the British, and the NATO countries, that they would be guilty under the terms of the Genocide Convention for providing weapons and political cover for the actions of the Netanyahu regime. That in itself is an important development. But secondly, it typifies what we're seeing globally of the emergence of the Global South as a key factor in strategic policy. And the Global South is emerging in opposition to the so-called rules-based order, a rejection of the terms of this phony conception, the idea of a rules-based order, where the rules are made up by one power and have nothing to do with international law, only the needs of the predatory corporate cartels which run the governments of the so-called West. This is an Anglo-American empire, and it's used war as an instrument of enforcing its predatory looting policies, which are properly characterized as neo-colonial policies against the former colonies of the world. And it's the emergence of a strong voice against that which the International Court of Justice ruling demonstrates. The whole policy of globalization has been based on using US and NATO forces against countries which resist the submission to this rules-based order. Just look at the destruction unleashed against Afghanistan, against Libya, against Iraq, against Syria, against Yemen. These are just some aspects of the use of kinetic military force backed by cyber warfare and censorship to protect the looting policies of this global empire. But the important thing to see is that this order is dying. People in the Global South are not going to submit any longer. Russia is not going to submit. China is not only not submitting, but is blazing a trail for a new economic development order using the Belt and Road Initiative as an example. And the BRICS countries are at the forefront of this. The question is, will the people of the global north continue to foolishly allow this policy in their names, even as they're becoming the victims now, as this predatory order is collapsing and needs more victims to loot? We see the tractors rolling across Europe as an example of a break with this policy. So it's important to note that my organization, the Schiller Institute, under the direction of its leader, Helga Zepp-LaRouche, has been fighting for the development of a new paradigm, a new security and development order based on principles of sovereign nation states which act together in cooperation for mutual benefit, mutual development. This is what Pope Paul VI meant when he said development is the new name of peace. And Helga Zeppler-Roush drafted 10 fundamental principles to address how we can get there and break out of this dying empire of the rules-based order. So I send you my warm greetings and wish you the best